Namaskar and good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Bhaskar Rao. I am work as additional professor in the Department of Anesthesiology and Critical Care at AIIMS Bhubaneswar. Today, I shall be discussing on different parts of a ventilator and how to disinfect those parts. We know there is an pandemic of COVID is going on all over the world. So ventilators are an essential part. So if you don't know the parts and how to disinfect them, it is very difficult for all the healthcare workers to work upon and manage different kind of patients and to prevent contamination from one patient to another. So today we shall be discussing different parts of a ventilator and how to disinfect them. So let's see. So at the outset, let me declare that I do not have any conflict of interest. So at the end of my discussion, we should all be able to identify different parts of a mechanical ventilator. We should also know, we should be able to know how to select appropriate method of disinfection of different parts we discuss, and we will be able to also enlist what precautions we must take in patients when we face a COVID-19 positive case. So we all know what mechanical ventilator is. Mechanical ventilator is a machine which either partially or wholly replaces the work of breathing, right? So all healthcare workers must possess the knowledge of this machine, what are the parts and how to maintain or disinfect these parts. Now let us discuss each part which we come across in our day-to-day practice. This is here you can see a mechanical ventilator. So the first thing which comes into your mind when you talk about a ventilator or when you see a ventilator is the screen of it. We call it as an interface, patient ventilator interface. Some people say it's graphic user interface like that. So here what you see is an interface or ventilator screen. This is the part where you do different settings. You increase, decrease, radial volume, beep, etc. This is the called interface. Now what you see, there are two ports coming out of the ventilator. One is an inspiratory port, other one is an expiratory port. Here I am showing you in the picture an inspiratory port where the inspiratory limb of the circuit is attached or connected. Now in the next picture we are seeing the expiratory port. Here the expiratory limb of the circuit is getting connected along with some filters. Now I am showing you the filter which is supplied by the manufacturer itself. Whenever the ventilators are supplied with compressor having ventilators, then these are the type of HEPA filters which are attached to the expiratory part of the ventilator. This HEPA stands for high efficiency particulate air filters, and these are supplied by the manufacturers themselves. Now I am showing you a different kind of filter which we call as heat and moisture exchanger or heat and moisture exchanger filter. These are disposable ones, they are bacterial viral filters, and they need to be thrown as and when required after use. Now I am showing you the inspiratory limb of the circuit. This is the expiratory limb of the circuit. I am showing you a battery which you all can see underneath the two ports. You can see a battery lying there. This is the compressor. Not all the ventilators will have compressors, but yes, some are turbine based, some are compressor based. But you have one, this is usually at the base of the ventilator. This is the Y piece. Now I showed you a inspiratory limb of the circuit. I have also shown you an expiratory limb. Both the limbs come together and get connected at the level of the Y piece. After the Y piece, as you can see here, there is a filter, and after the filter comes the endotracheal tube. Now this endotracheal tube either goes into the lungs or here in this case reservoir band. In some different kinds of ventilators, you will see a separate exhalation valve flow sensor assembly near the expiratory end of the ventilator. This is, I think all of you know, you can well identify these machines, small electronic machines attached to the inspiratory limb. They are called active humidifier. Purpose, they will humidify the air which goes in and out of the lungs. Now, if you want to nebulize a person, then you need to have a nebulizer device in circuit. So this is one example of nebulizer device or inline nebulization device. Now, till now, what we have discussed is different parts of ventilators which we come across in our day-to-day practice. If I open up the whole ventilator, there are many things inside it. There is many engineering has been done inside it, but we are not bothered about it. But what we need to take care of is what are the parts I have already discussed. Now you may ask me, what are the disinfectants I'll use so that I can clean all these things? There is a whole long list of disinfectants which are available in every hospital. But here you see a small list, not the whole list, but these are some of the common disinfectant agents which we use. Let's say glutaraldehyde 2%. Commonly we call it as Sidex. That is we have been hearing since we are doing MD days or something. This 2% glutaraldehyde, if you want to use it for your equipments and instruments, the minimum immersion time is 10 minutes if you want to kill the bacteria. If you want to kill the bacteria as well as tubercular bacteria, then you need to keep it immersed at least for 20 minutes. And if you want to kill bacterial spores, then at least 3 hours has to be there. The advantage of this glutaraldehyde is it has got a very wide range of action. Means it kills all kinds of bacterial viruses, and the best part is it is non-corrosive to metal. So you can dip or immerse the metals inside glutaraldehyde 2% solutions. One of the limitations of glutaraldehyde is once you have activated the glutaraldehyde 2%, the shelf life is usually 2 to 4 weeks. In addition to that, one more limitation is this glutaraldehyde creates lot of fumes which can cause occupational asthma and contact bronchitis. So you need to be careful if you are using glutaraldehyde, and more than that, if you have a container where you have this glutaraldehyde solution, keep it always covered or with a lid over it. Then we'll discuss about formaldehyde. You might have heard it, you might have been using it formalin, the 40% formaldehyde. The most important point here to remember is this is a it has been found to be a potentially carcinogenic one. Means it can cause cancer, it can lead to cancer. So nowadays formaldehyde is no more recommended. If you are using in your hospital, then it has to be done only by a fully trained staff. Better you avoid it. Then next, let us discuss hydrogen peroxide. This is one of the best agent available because it has got low toxicity, no irritation, no foul odor, no special disposal is required, and it doesn't cause any damage to glass equipment, glass or plastic equipments. And in addition to that, it has got again a wide range of coverage. Means it can kill different kinds of microorganisms. The only limitation of hydrogen peroxide is this is an oxidant. So metal articles you should avoid. Then let us talk about hypochlorite solutions. Easily available, low cost, fast acting. You know the bleaching agents. Bleach is hypochlorite, sodium hypochlorite. Minimum concentration required is 0.1%, and this is the disinfectant of choice for surface decontamination. What is surface decontamination? Suppose I want to wipe the whole ventilator from the exterior or outside, then let me choose hypochlorite. If I want to clean the bed, if I want to clean the IV stand, then hypochlorite solution is easily available, and that is the disinfectant of choice in many centers. And the best part again is there is no toxic residue left if you are using hypochlorite solution. It is not affected by water hardness, means you can dilute it in water and easily use it, and it is well active against most viruses which we are concerned nowadays. The next agent I am going to discuss is alcohol. 60 to 70% is usually which we are using, and most often we are using for hand rub as a hand rub and hand clean agent. Again, the advantage is it evaporates quickly. So once you take the hand rub, you clean your hands. You don't need to wash hands after you have used this equipment. So there is no residue left. It evaporates easily, and you don't need to rinse. Again, spectrum of activity is quite broad. It can kill viruses, microbacteria, bacteria as well. The limitation of alcohol is this is an flammable agent. Flammable means it easily catches fire. So you need to be careful if you are using alcohol around other things which also promote fire, like diathermy, oxygen, etc. So these are a small list of few agents which are commonly used in every hospital. Now I shall move on how to do this disinfection process, or what is the procedure? What should I do? The first of all, I would say that first step in decontamination is to clean it with water. So when you clean the equipments with water, you lower the bioburden or the microbiology burden over the equipments. So that is the first step, even before you think of any disinfectant agent or autoclaves. So what happens when you clean? There is no residue left. and you clean the equipments with water plus minus a detergent or any enzymatic solution which are available in our hospital. Now I'll be discussing different parts of ventilator which we have discussed a few minutes back, and how to disinfect those individual parts. Let's say ventilator exterior. Exterior of the ventilator which you see in this picture. I have already told that take a cloth and dip it in a mild soap solution or any detergent, or you can use this sodium hypochlorite solution, clean it with the damp cloth. But be careful that you should not allow any this liquid agent or any water should go into the ventilator. Then your ventilator may not work afterwards. I think you people have seen the backside of the ventilator. If you really see that, most of the time that is the dirtiest one. What you need to do is do not use this cloth there. Rather, it's better if you do vacuum the posterior of the ventilator. Now the next part I am going to discuss is patient circuits, patient ventilator circuits. There are two types of circuits are available. One is disposable, which you see on the left, and the other one is reusable ones. If you are using disposable ones, if you have a good supply of disposable ones, it's better. And you after use you clean, disinfect them, cut them, and throw them. That's the procedure. Discard them after use. But if you are using a reusable ones, as it is shown in the picture, the other ones, you need to disassemble it completely, then clean it with water, disinfect it either a chemical agent or send it for autoclave. Both ways it can be done. The only thing you need to remember that when you clean it with water or agents, because of the corrugation in that circuit, some of the agent, some of the water always stays inside. So you always use pressurized air to remove those water or moisture or liquid from the inside of it. And if you see after repeated autoclaves, if you see there is a discoloration, yellowish discoloration often, or there is a decreased flexibility, you need to understand that now the circuit is going to be damaged. So you better avoid it and take a new circuit. These are some other parts of the ventilators like water traps, where these are used in the circuit, where due to humidification or something, sometimes water gets collected. These water traps, there are some catheter mounts, connectors, all these must be cleaned with water, disinfect with agent, or sent for autoclave. These are the usual procedure for these equipments as well. Now I am showing you one expiratory collector vial with an expiratory capsule. What do you see? What you need to do here is, this expiratory collector vial has got two parts. The upper one is autoclavable. Lower one is either you can use disinfectant agent or you can autoclave the lower one. But don't use liquids in the upper part. This is called expiratory HEPA filter along with the collector vial. Now in the lower part of the slide, you see exhalation valve flow sensor assembly. These are kind of sensor flow assembly. In some other ventilators, you will see expiratory cassettes. So what you need to do, these expiratory valve flow sensor assembly and cassettes, they should not be autoclaved. Just remember that. So what you need to do is remove them from the ventilator, clean and rinse with water, put it in a disinfectant for the specified time as recommended, then take it out of the disinfectant agent, clean again or rinse with water, allow it to dry on its own. After wiping, assemble to the ventilator. Remember one thing, whenever you are removing these parts of a ventilator, cleaning it, reattaching it, always do a pre-use check before you start ventilating a patient. Now we will move on to some other parts like filters. I am showing you here two kinds of filters. This one is a reusable one, as I said, supplied by the manufacturer, and the other one on the right is the disposable ones. The reusable ones, you need to clean and disinfect the lower part. This one is to be autoclaved. Whereas the right one is a disposable one. So after use, every time you need to dispose them. These are the different types of battery which are being used along with ventilators. These also need to be disinfected. At times you remove them, clean them with a damp cloth and a disinfectant and reattach once it is dry. Now in addition to these parts, there are some NIV masks which you use. These masks, they need also to be cleaned in between. Once you have a patient who is infected, you should better clean it with the water or agent and then you disinfect with the solution. These are also autoclavable, but with each autoclave, the life cycle of the life of the NIV mask deteriorates. So it's better if you use disinfectants or agents. If you are sterilizing with autoclave, then the formula is 121 degrees centigrade for 15 minutes. Now we'll talk about some nebulization devices. There are two kinds of nebulization devices I am showing you here. One on the left is a disposable one on the right one a reusable one. The disposable ones are better if your patients are infected. Because after use you need to just throw them out. But if you are using this reusable ones, then remove them, disassemble all the components, wash them with water, then put it in a chemical disinfectant. After a stipulated time, you rinse them out with water and wipe them with a damp cloth and use them. The same procedure is to be used for humidifier, as it is shown in this picture. Just remember that these are electronic devices. So always unplug the device before cleaning and make sure that there is no water content while you add or reattach this equipments. Now, till now, what I have discussed is different parts of ventilators, what are the common disinfectants available to us, and how to disinfect and clean those parts in our day-to-day practice. Or what are the differences, what are the benefits, advantages, and limitations. Now we shall be discussing, suppose we have a COVID positive patient. So what are the current recommendations, what are the guidelines says, what do we need to do, what precautions we need to follow if we have such patients in our hospitals or wards or ICUs. Now, first of all, I would say every ventilator manufacturer always gives some kinds of instructions and recommendations. Whenever you are dealing with ventilator and these parts, follow the instructions by the manufacturer and whatever the latest government guidelines are coming up with time. In this pandemic of COVID, you know, every day new guidelines are coming because this is a new kind of infection. So it is, the guidelines are expected to change and update. So we need to update ourselves. Now, if you are going for attempting any cleaning or disinfection of these equipments, use full PPE. PPE stands for personal protective equipment, so that you yourself are prevented from getting the infection. Third point is use two filters. The disposable filters which I was showing you in the first picture. There are two types. You need to use two filters. One at the Y-piece and the endotracheal tube, and the other one at the expiratory port of the ventilator. These are essential so that you prevent contaminating the patient as well as the ventilator. Active humidification also reduces chances for infection, so that has to be used, which I have already discussed. If you are using a filter, heat and moisture exchanger filter, then take care when it is malformed or visibly soiled, you need to change it, and sometimes you have to change it every 5 to 7 days as per Government of India guidelines. Sometimes some hospitals change it every 48 hours or whenever it is visibly soiled. Remember one thing, if you are going to change any filter or disconnect the circuit, always put the ventilator on the standby button, then clamp the endotracheal tube or take the patient on an ambu bag. If the patient is not tolerating much, then you disconnect or throw the filters, put a new one and then reconnect. The point here is standby function of the ventilator has to be used if you are changing filters. Next, I am going to talk about, remember one, that single-use consumables, let it be circuit, adapters, valves, connectors, filters. If you have consumables, disposables, that is the best thing you can do in a patient with COVID positive. Always remember, disinfect the outer surface of the ventilator and other parts as we have already discussed. If you are in doubt, speak to your seniors. If you are still in doubt, speak to a microbiologist or an infectious disease specialist in your hospital. Now, suppose I want to suction a patient of COVID positive. I must use a closed inline suction system. These are better than the other systems. And if we have a HEPA filter, don't try to change it more frequently than as indicated by the manufacturer. So the bottom line is, manufacturer instructions are always to be followed, which may change from manufacturer to manufacturer. Now, if you are using some circuits with these water traps, so there you will see that after a day or two, there will be some water getting collected here. That may also contain the microbes, so it has to be properly discarded to appropriate area. Now, suppose I am using humidifiers. Now I must use sterile water so that patients won't get infected. If I am planning to nebulize, it is always better to use single dose vials or respiles like shown in this picture. But suppose you don't have that option, if you are going to use multi-dose vials, do not forget to follow the manufacturer instructions as far as handling, storing and dispensing of the multi-dose vial is concerned. So at the end, the take home is, using a ventilator is not enough. You must know how to maintain and how to clean the different parts. The first simple steps of disinfection is cleaning itself with plain water, which will reduce the microbiota or microburden or bioburden. Use appropriate disinfection technique as we discussed for different parts of a ventilator. Keep a balance between need to sterilize and what is happening to the life of the equipment. You need to keep a balance regarding that also, and always follow manufacturer's recommendations, which may vary from manufacturer to manufacturer. Here I am showing the sources from where I have prepared this presentation. Thank you very much for listening. Now is the time for assessment. I'll read there are 4 questions for you, and there is an answer slide also at the end. I would suggest all of you to go through the slides, write down your answers in a piece of paper, and then you check with your answers in the last slide. Here I would like to know the name of the equipment shown in the picture. I hope all of you can answer it. Now, what is the immersion time for 2% glutaraldehyde? If you have been concentrating what I have been talking, then what is the immersion time of 2% glutaraldehyde to kill tubercular bacteria? Name this equipment. And which of the following agent easily catches fire? So you should be careful if you are using diathermy or oxygen around. A, B, C, D, 4 options. You need to choose any one of the best. Alcohol, glutaraldehyde, formaldehyde, hypochlorite. So answer slide I just skipped. You need to assess yourself. So all the best. Thank you very much.